My dear readers, listeners, and of course friends, Bashar al-Assad, the once unassuming ophthalmologist who became the tyrant of Syria, stands as a grotesque monument to the despot's playbook. Deny reality, sow terror, and cling to power with every weapon at your disposal, including the chemical kind. That his regime has now collapsed in a heap of its own corruption and cruelty is no surprise. It is the fate of all tyrannies, though too often it comes far too late for their victims. And Assad's fate, though not yet entirely known, promises to be more cowardly than tragic. Contrast him for a moment with Volodymyr Zelensky. When Zelensky was offered escape from Kyiv in the early days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, he is reported to have said, "I need ammunition, not a ride." It was a phrase that instantly galvanized not only his people but much of the free world. It encapsulated the courage and defiance of a leader who understands that survival of the nation is more important than survival of the man. Assad, one imagines, has given us a dark inversion of this principle. If reports are accurate and he fled Damascus as rebel forces approached, one can easily picture him slinking into some armored vehicle, muttering, "I need a ride, not ammunition," his cowardice matched only by his irrelevance. There is no nobility in Assad's fall. His regime's demise is not the conclusion of a brave stand for principles, nor the last chapter of a misguided but genuine vision for his people. Instead, it is the natural end of a rule that has been defined by massacre, corruption, and the utter refusal to respect even the most basic tenets of human dignity. Assad, propped up for so long by Russian and Iranian arms, was never the architect of his own power so much as a kept man, shielded by the cynical calculations of foreign powers. Now, as the sands shift and even his patrons seem unable or unwilling to save him, his legacy will crumble alongside the monuments to his family's grotesque half-century rule. And what of Vladimir Putin, Assad's erstwhile savior and sponsor? The fall of Assad must be a bitter pill for the Kremlin's resident strongman, who staked not only treasure but considerable geopolitical capital on keeping the Assad dynasty alive. For Putin, Assad was more than just a client. He was a symbol of Russia's ability to project power and defy the West in its own backyard. With the collapse of the Assad regime, Putin's carefully cultivated image of invincibility suffers yet another crack. The supposed Tsar of a resurgent Russia has been revealed once again as little more than a gambler, and not even a particularly good one. Let us not be too quick to lionize Assad's enemies, however. The rebel coalition that now dances in the streets of Damascus is hardly a bastion of liberal democracy. Some of its factions are as ruthless and ideologically extreme as the regime they have overthrown. Yet even acknowledging this complexity, one must feel a measure of schadenfreude at the humiliation of Assad and his ilk. To see a man who ruled with such casual cruelty, who thought nothing of reducing entire cities to rubble, brought low by the very people he sought to crush. It is a spectacle as satisfying as it is overdue. So let us raise a cautious toast to the fall of Assad, not to the man, of course, but to the idea that no tyranny, however brutal, is invincible. Assad's end is a reminder that even the most entrenched despot can be brought to ruin. And if, in his final hours in Damascus, he really did ask for a ride rather than ammunition, it is the perfect epitaph for a man whose reign was defined not by courage, but by the utter absence of it.